Thanks everyone for joining. My name's Tori. I'm the Director of Business Development over here at Connect Outbound. I also have Ryan joining me today. He's the CEO over here, and so we're just going to go into how we can help you build your sales pipeline and give you some tips on how to do so. So today we just wanted to share more tips about how to build your sales pipeline and give you insight into how we help our clients increase their revenue and build their sales pipeline. We'll review how you can do this internally with your own sales team and the tips we use to be successful. Some background about us is that we're a lead generation company similar to PeopleLinks, but we take a slightly different approach. We primarily generate opportunities through calling, and we find that a blended approach works best for creating enough and the right opportunities. So we highly encourage you to utilize email sequencing as well as targeted phone calls. So just picking up the phone, following up on those emails, we find creates the most opportunities for your sales team. And we also find it very important to create opportunities from every conversation that you have with prospects. So we'll go into that in a couple of slides. So the most important part of cold calling and the only way your team will be successful is if you have an effective outreach strategy. Something that makes us unique is that we act as an extension of our client's sales team and actually represent their company on the phone. But the most important thing to spend time on, whether you're doing this internally or using a third party, is having an effective outreach strategy. So you need to work with your team to find who your ideal target market is and whether that's what size or what territory you want to go after. It's important to know who your ideal clients are and where the low-hanging fruit is. So I know that PeopleLinks talks to their clients about going after warm leads, such as their customer base, which is also something that we always highly encourage. We say that the best new customer is a current customer, and I'm going to go over this in the next slide further. But right now I'm going to have Ryan hit on targeted call blocks and why those are so important.
Thank you, Tori. So targeted call blocks, here's the idea of this, whether it's how we structure the BDR, SDRs, and our team to do the outreach, or if you're building in-house team, which that's part of the conversation today is these are strategies, these are tactics to be able to use internally or to do it yourself, or, sharing insight into how we built the outsourced SDR team that we have. And the targeted call blocks has been crucial for us when we started this about 4.5 years ago, is that very, very few individuals we found can sit on the phones all day long and just make calls nonstop. So what we did instead to be more efficient and to prevent burnout is we did time blocking specifically for targeted call blocks. And we trickle those throughout the day, typically 2 to 4 blocks a day, where it's very targeted outreach and more of a blitz approach. And we found over time is that that's proven to be way more effective, not just from activity, but also from the outcomes the reps are producing, because they're not just sitting there on the phones all day, just mindlessly dialing. So that's been a huge component for our success as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
So I just went over this briefly, but we wanted to talk more about why you should be cross-selling to your current clients. We always encourage people to go back. Maybe you sold a customer something 20 years ago. You've expanded your services since then, and they have no idea that you offer this new product or service, which you might lose their business to your competitor simply because you haven't communicated with them in a while. So we encourage you to send either emails or make those phone calls and just touch base with them, check in, see how they're doing if it's been a long time, and then also just educate them on the new services that you have to offer, and they could become a new client for that specific product. We often find this is the lowest hanging fruit that convert the most frequently and quickest, which is what we're looking for our clients, is a quick return on investment. So this is one campaign that we always recommend you go after, and we'll go into some other campaigns in the next couple of slides. So we're going to briefly go over our onboarding process, but each one of these steps is important if you are planning to implement this internally as well. The first and most important step is list creation. Our second step is technology setup. Then we have a team introduction call. We review talk approaches, appointment setting and generating opportunities. And then last and the most important step is closing deals. So step one is list creation and creating those targeted campaigns that I was mentioning earlier. It's important to target your customer base, but it's also important to go after new customers. So we often find that a blended approach works really well, where you're targeting your current customers, but also calling people in your area who are not your customers. We call those net new opportunities. Some campaigns that we've found to be really successful are trigger event campaigns. So one for us is moving. Since we work with a lot of technology providers, we often find that when people are moving, that's a great trigger event for us to come in and help them reset up their office and help them with their current equipment. Chamber of Commerce is also a really great campaign to go after. If you're in the chamber, it's good to just call them and let them know the services that you provide and be a local resource to them. We've seen a lot of success there. Intent data, we use sales intel. So they use Bombora in order to find people who are searching for the services that you offer in your area that fit your criteria. And those are great accounts to go after, even if it's just a handful a week. Conference attendees, so following up on those. You can also use data providers to just create lists based off the criteria you're looking for. We use Sales Intel. I know that there's Zoom Info. And then lastly, opened emails. So when using an email sequencing platform like PeopleLinks, it's important to follow up on the opened emails with phone calls. So whether you have someone like us or you have internal sales reps, calling those people and just following up on it, because oftentimes CEOs and C-level executives receive a ton of emails and it might just get lost even if they're interested. So it's important to call them and just say, hi, did you receive my email? Let's schedule a time to get together and discuss it further. So these are just a couple of ideas of campaigns that we've found to be successful when using them for our clients. So the next step on our end is technology setup, where we get our reps set up with a local DID and also emails for your company. But if you're looking to do this internally, it's important to make sure you have the right tools to make those calls. An example of a tool that we've found helpful for us is auto dialers. This will help you get a number of dials in an hour that maybe you would usually get in a day. It also has AI features that can help people pick up, like selecting what phone number would be good to display as a caller ID. So we highly encourage using dialers so you can increase your volume for those campaigns. We also use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, email sequencing tools like PeopleLinks. Like I mentioned before, it's important to have a blended approach to create the most opportunities. So not just making phone calls, not just sending emails, but just increasing the different channels that you are using for your marketing to get your name out there. And then also data tools. It's important to have something like Zoom Info, Sales Intel, those data tools in order to find the correct phone numbers and emails of the prospects that you're going after. Step 3 on our end is the team intro call. So this will serve as a mini orientation where your company gets to meet our reps. Our reps get to learn more about your company and who they're calling for. If you're doing this internally and you are setting up a sales rep for success, we often find that reps are set up with all the bells and whistles of a product and they know everything about it, but they're not necessarily creating opportunities for themselves with every conversation. So we find that it's very important to go into these conversations and opportunities and create an opportunity for yourself. It's often important that reps learn how to find value for the customer. So asking the right questions in order to make sure they know what the customer is looking for and then tailoring the conversation to them rather than just explaining the product and then after seeing if they have value for it, it's important to find out what their pain points are from the beginning and then work with them to see how you are able to help them. Ryan, was there anything else you wanted to add to creating opportunities versus order taking?
Yeah, thank you, Tori. So one of the pieces that we work heavily with SDRs, BDRs, whether it's on our team or working with clients on the consulting side as well, is that the most opportunities that come inbound, that's more order taking, right? And those are going to come. Those are great when we create those. Everybody wants them, right? But the outbound side is you have to create those opportunities, whether that's leveraging people links from email sequencing standpoint, following up with phone calls, doing whatever method to get outbound effort and results, is that those are going to be created, not just order taking. So we focus heavily on how do you create opportunities, and it starts with reaching out and identifying who that person is, and then having a intelligent conversation and know what the goal is of that conversation. Is that booking a demo? Is that scheduling a meeting? Is that doing some other initiative based on the campaign? But the idea around taking orders or creating opportunities is focusing on creating a systematic, strategic campaign that is going to focus on outbound effort in addition to the inbound opportunities that are going to come your way. Because if you want exponential growth, that's really where you can move the needle on that side of it.
Definitely. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Step 4 is creating a talk approach. So it's important to decide what the goal of your call or your email is. For example, we work with a lot of service providers, so our goal is to set an appointment, and we're trying to sell the appointment, not the product. So you want to decide, what are you looking to get out of this email or this phone call, and then create your talk approach or messaging around that objective. We like to keep things super straightforward, to the point, ask open-ended questions, and just get the other person talking and sharing more information about their company with us so that we're able to go in and set an appointment with them.
One piece to add, Tori, and whether you're a rep or you have reps in-house or you're looking to build reps, is that one of the biggest takeaways for this is that if you reach out and you know what you're asking for, that's the beginning of it. Reaching out, whether it's a demo or asking for an appointment, that's great. What's the ideal talk track? And having reps practice going for the ask, because the reality is that we're interrupting. Whether we're following up on an email campaign or from a conference or just a cold outreach, is that the reality is we are interrupting who we're calling. So the best thing we can do to show respect is to get to the point, introduce ourselves, ask for what we want, and then be quiet and let them respond and either say yes, absolutely interested, absolutely not interested, or somewhere in between. And then we can fill in more context and have more dialogue with them. So that's one of the things that we see a lot of challenge with when we're working with reps, is that sometimes we just say too much and we don't get to the point. And if we get to the point, oftentimes the stakeholders, the decision makers we're talking to, they're appreciative of that, because then they can make a decision and either move on with their day or ask some questions and create some dialogue on that. So just want to share that, Tori.
Thanks, Ryan. Step 5 is creating opportunities. We recently went over this in our other slides, but our goal is to fill the top end of your funnel. We book appointments for our clients and we notify them with a calendar invite and an appointment handoff with all the details they would need to be successful regarding the appointment. We also reschedule meetings, but that's the whole reason we're here, is we want to create more opportunities for your sales team so that they can go in and ultimately close deals, which is very important in sales. That's the goal for everyone. So that's the ultimate end goal of our clients. We want to help them increase their recurring revenue and close deals from the opportunities that we set for them. So that was a brief overview of our 6-step onboarding process and the steps that you should take if you plan to implement precision calling in your company internally. I wanted to just share a few testimonials from our current clients This is from our client Alltech, who is a copier company based in New Jersey. We mostly do net new outreach for them, and they said exceeded expectations. Thanks to Connect Outbound, I've shifted from chasing cold leads to focusing on meeting with more prospects and closing more deals. It's a no-brainer solution. The next testimonial is from a client that we mostly call on their current customer base to cross-sell to them. They said Connect Outbound went beyond what I hoped for. It's freed me up to engage more prospects, reconnect with existing customers, and concentrate my efforts where they matter most, getting in front of business owners. It works. I think these two testimonials go back to my point earlier that you really should be reaching out to your current customers as well as net new and taking those blended approaches in order to get the most opportunities. So why should everyone be leveraging SDRs or BDRs? I think all the steps we just went over are extremely important to implement, making sure you have the right talk approaches, the right target audience, that you are training your reps on the importance of practicing your script and learning how to create value from your products to the prospect that they're meeting with, and just making sure that you've implemented different ways to reach people, such as emails, such as phone calls, and just taking all those different avenues to create opportunities.
Just to add to your point, Tori, is just the way we look at this is it's a decision around how fast do you want to grow as a business and as a business owner. And so absolutely you can grow through referrals, which we love referrals. We get referrals. People Links grows that way. I'm sure many of you grow through word of mouth and happy clients, which is great. But the question becomes, can you grow faster by having a strategic outbound campaign that has multi-pronged approach with email, with LinkedIn, with phone outreach, whether you team up with a company like Google Links or Connect Outbound, or just build it in-house, which you can absolutely do, is that it's a decision around how fast you want to grow. And from our perspective, it's really easy to differentiate if you put together a campaign that doesn't have to be elaborate, but a focused strategic campaign to do outbound. Is that majority of your competition, doesn't matter what space you're in, is they're not hitting it from that standpoint. Most companies across all sectors are generating the vast majority of their pipeline, and their growth is coming from word of mouth, referrals, which again is great, but we can get those in addition to doing outbound strategy and get ahead of competition, grow faster. And for many of you, I'm sure more profitability is a big component of that as well. So you can add that to it too. So I think that's important, Tori, to highlight that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the most important bullet points on here is supply your salespeople with qualified appointments. I talk to sales reps all the time who still make cold calls on their own while we're setting opportunities for them. But it's just nice to get a warm lead and then go in and do what they like doing, closing deals rather than picking up the phone. And then to your point, Ryan, about list creation and just having a targeted list, it's okay to set broad criteria and then go in and narrow in on a few of those pieces in order to start super targeted, and then later widening your criteria as time goes on and you need more leads. So I think those are two important things I wanted to highlight there.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off that one that I think is really important. You hit on with the sales reps spending their time in the most valuable areas. It's like, what's the best and highest use of a salesperson's time? And that's in front of a customer, right? In front of a prospect to create and hopefully close an opportunity. And so if you have a team that's either again in-house or partner with the company that can help get more at-bats for really great salespeople, depending on what industry you're in. If you're in an industry where sales reps is maybe a little more complex cycle or selling software, and they're highly incentivized to get deals across the finish line, but their time is better spent in front of prospects as opposed to just working the phones, is that's where the segmentation of having dedicated team members that are siloed into doing outreach and making effective phone calls can be really good at that, but don't cost as much as a full-time sales rep. Can be a really effective way of going about it. So depending on the industry, you have to make that determination, do the math. But we help a lot of clients in that area where they have great salespeople that can close more and add way more value to the business if they had more opportunities that they could work. And so it's a matter of identifying that if it's a good fit.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to our next point is that you definitely can do this internally, but we find that a lot of our clients come to us because it takes a lot of time and effort to hire someone and train them and get them ramped up and comfortable cold calling and comfortable with your process and your products. So that's why most of our clients come to us, because they're looking for those warm opportunities so that their sales reps can close deals. How we operate is we are performance-based. We have a domestic team. As I mentioned earlier, we act as an extension of your sales team. It's a quick and easy setup process that I just went over. It typically takes about a month at most. And our goal is to just help you accelerate your pipeline growth, which is why we're all here today. So now we'll have some time for questions, but I went ahead and put a QR code on the screen if you were interested in visiting our website, and then our phone number as well as Ryan's email if you wanted to chat more offline.
Yeah, and as a side note, before we open up for questions, we're happy to field some questions not only today, but if you want to send, me an email or give me a call and just talk a little bit of strategy around trying to build an in-house your team, I'm happy to share a little more details of what we've done to build our in-house team. There's no exact science that will carry across all industries, but we found a pretty good system and formula for a handful of industries that we tend to focus in, and be happy to share that with you. If you want to embark on the journey of doing it yourself, happy to share that with you. And like Tori said, if it's something where it's, I'd rather not do myself, but I would love to partner with a company and have it done for me, that's where we typically come in to support our clients on that side of it. So with that being said, maybe Ashley, if we could open it up to some questions, if there are any that we can field for everybody before we wrap up here.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone does have questions, feel free to chat them in, unmute yourself. We're all going to hang around for another 5 minutes or so.
All right. Looks like Tori did an excellent job addressing all the questions beforehand. All right. Well, unless there are any questions, we'll let you take back some time here today. As mentioned before, if anything comes to mind, if there's any way we can support you, if that's just some feedback or guidance on what we've done and what we've seen work really well for clients, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be happy to address those. And then, I want to thank the People Links team. Been amazing to not only work with and do all of our outsourced emailing, because we don't do that ourselves. So we leverage you guys to do that. But appreciate you guys hosting this as well and allowing us to share this information.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody.